Welcome to History in Focus. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more historical content. Also, let me know in the comments which moment impacted you the most. Enjoy the video. This iconic image captures a powerful moment of victory and freedom. On VJ Day, in the heart of Times Square, an American sailor kissed a nurse, a gesture immortalized as a symbol of triumph after World War II. Photographed by Alfred Eisenstein, this spontaneous act of joy became a defining image of celebration. The kiss represents the collective relief of a world recovering from the ravages of war, showcasing the raw emotion and spirit of that historic day. This photograph is one of the most powerful representations of the Great Depression. Captured by Dorothea Lange, migrant mother shows a poverty-stricken mother with her children turned away, symbolizing despair and resilience. Taken in 1936, it reflects the deep scars of the economic crisis and the struggle to survive. The mother's face tells the story of hardship, carrying the weight of an uncertain future. This image remains an enduring example of how documentary photography can powerfully convey human stories. This iconic photograph captures one of humanity's first steps on the moon. Neil Armstrong immortalized Buzz Aldrin during the Apollo 11 mission on July 20, 1969, as Aldrin took some of his first steps on the lunar surface. The image, taken with a 70mm lunar surface camera, represents not only a scientific triumph, but also humanity's relentless pursuit of its dreams. Armstrong documented this historic moment, capturing one of the two men who would forever be known for their footprints on the moon. This photograph, titled Blind, is one of Paul Strand's most famous works, captured using a camera with a false lens. The image portrays a woman gazing off to the side, seemingly unaware that she is being photographed. Strand's technique aimed to capture people's natural behavior when they were unaware of the camera, providing a powerful example of documentary photography that highlights unconscious human expression. This iconic photograph is one of the most recognized images from World War II, captured by Joe Rosenthal, showing 6 U.S. Marines raising the American flag atop Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima. The moment symbolizes victory and patriotism for Americans across the nation. The flag in the image was actually a replacement for a much smaller one initially raised, and this second flag was hoisted to inspire the troops during the battle. The image has since become a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made during the war. The iconic Earthrise image was captured by astronaut William Anders during the Apollo 8 mission. This photograph reveals the stunning beauty of Earth as it rises from the darkness of space. In the foreground lies the barren surface of the moon, while in the background, Earth, with its marble-like swirls of blue and white, symbolizes the fragility of our planet. This image serves as a poignant reminder of our shared home and our small place in the vastness of space. Her intense gaze and bold green eyes made the Afghan girl an enduring symbol of the struggles faced by refugee women in the Western world. Taken by Steve McCurry during the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, this iconic photograph of Sharbat Gula captures the hardship of refugee women through the profound expression of one young girl. The image powerfully conveys the pain and resilience of those displaced by conflict. Freezing a moment in time, Milk Drop Coronet revolutionized photography. Taken by Harold Edgerton in 1957, this image captures the crown-like splash of a milk drop striking the surface of liquid, forever altering the mechanics of photography. As one of the first examples of high-speed photography, it unveiled unprecedented details and offered a frozen glimpse of movement previously unseen. A glimpse into the harsh realities of industrialization. This iconic image by Louis Hine documents the lives of industrial workers amidst the rapid growth of factories. Hine carefully captured the environments they worked in and the deteriorating conditions they endured. Though often regarded as documentary photography, Hines' work was meticulously composed, with each image selected to make the most powerful impact on the viewer. The moment that began photography, known as View from the Window at Le Gras, this image was captured in 1826 by French inventor Nicéphore Niepce. Recognized as the world's first permanent photograph, this image laid the foundation for photography. Using a technique called heliography, the photo was etched onto a surface of asphalt, marking a revolutionary advancement in the world of photography. This image of Boulevard du Temple in Paris was created by Louis-Jacques Daguerre in 1838, one of the earliest examples of photography. Printed on a silver-plated copper plate, this daguerreotype is believed to be the first photograph featuring a living person. Due to the long exposure time, what would have been a bustling street appears empty, except for a person standing still in the lower left, having their shoes shined by a crouching figure. William Henry Jackson captured this striking image of the Lower Falls in 1871 during an expedition to explore northwestern Wyoming. Reports of what Jackson's group found, geysers, waterfalls, and other geological wonders, were so incredible that the public didn't believe them until photographic proof was made available. Jackson's photographs of the Lower Falls and other natural wonders in the region helped persuade Americans and Congress to create Yellowstone National Park, the world's first national park. This series of photographs paved the way for the film industry. Edward James Muybridge's photos froze time in increments of 1/500th of a second. The photographer achieved this by capturing a series of images triggered by tiny threads broken by a moving animal. This work also helped resolve a major debate of the time, whether a horse lifts all 4 legs off the ground when galloping, proving that sequences of images taken in short intervals had immense value. Jacob Riis was an early investigative photojournalist who documented the lives of people living in New York City's slums. His 1890 book, How the Other Half Lives, exposed the harsh living conditions, including this 13-foot-long room that housed 12 men and women. This image helped spark an investigation into housing conditions and is credited with prompting major social reforms. Riis's legacy is that of being one of the first to use photography to fuel a social movement. The Wright brothers were the first to invent a flying vehicle. But to be believed, they needed proof, and proof, less than a century after the earliest recorded photograph, meant snapshots. The brothers set up cameras for all their tests and experiments, but timing was everything. Sometimes they got just a shot of the sky. This time, their first flight at 10:35 a.m. on December 17, 1903, the timing was perfect, capturing the first flight that was powered, sustained, and controlled. Louis Hine was a photographer who worked for social justice. He traveled across America to document child labor, visiting farms, factories, and mills. Hine's photos served the efforts of the National Child Labor Committee, which aimed to protect children from hazardous work conditions. In this image, 9-year-old Sadie Pfeiffer is seen working in front of rows of spools in a cotton mill. Hine's photographs were instrumental in helping pass the country's first child labor protection laws. The Hindenburg disaster, which took place on May 6, 1937, in Lakehurst, New Jersey, marked the end of passenger travel by Zeppelin-style airships. This iconic photograph by Sam Shear captured the tragic explosion that shocked the world. The magnitude of the event, combined with the presumed deaths of many aboard, highlighted the dangers of advanced technology and sealed the fate of the airship industry. In 1945, as American troops moved across Germany, they encountered concentration camps. These camps held such shocking horrors that General Dwight Eisenhower, then the supreme commander of all Allied forces in Europe, insisted on bringing top military brass, journalists, photographers, and American political figures to witness the atrocities. The documentation aimed to serve as public testimony, both at the time and throughout history, to the horrors of the Nazi regime and the Holocaust. Prior to August 6, 1945, only a few had ever witnessed a nuclear explosion. On that day, the U.S. dropped the first-ever nuclear attack on Hiroshima, Japan, and vast numbers of those who witnessed it died. 3 days later, when the U.S. dropped a second bomb on Nagasaki, a member of the flight crew aboard a plane accompanying the one that dropped the bomb captured the destructive power of the new weapons with his personal camera. His photograph recorded the 45,000-foot-high mushroom cloud rising over a city where as many as 80,000 people had just died, and many more would perish in the coming years due to the after-effects of radiation exposure. This photograph shows Emmett Till just months before he was brutally murdered by white supremacists in August 1955. At 14 years old, Till was killed by people who claimed he had whistled at a white woman while in a Mississippi town on vacation from Chicago. His lynching and funeral became pivotal moments in the civil rights movement, especially because his mother insisted on an open casket funeral, allowing the world to see what had been done to him. David Jackson's horrific image, first published in Jet magazine, shocked the nation and deepened awareness of racism's brutality. Cuban photographer Alberto Diaz Gutierrez, better known as Alberto Korda, or simply Korda, is pictured here with a print of his iconic portrait of Ernesto Che Guevara, an Argentinian Marxist who fought alongside Fidel Castro in the Cuban Revolution. The image did not become famous until Guevara died in 1967, at which point it spread around the world on banners, T-shirts, posters, and many other printed materials. In many ways, the portrait is one of the earliest viral images, appearing in all manner of places and uses, peering ferociously into an uncertain future. Athletes have long used their platforms to make social issue stances. When U.S. sprinters Tommy Smith and John Carlos won gold and bronze, respectively, for the 200-meter race in the 1968 Mexico City Olympics, they raised their black-gloved fists on the medal stand during the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner to show solidarity with the plight of black people in the United States. The silver medal winner, Peter Norman of Australia, did not raise his fist, but supported their gesture. For the medal ceremony, he not only recommended they each wear just one glove, they only had one pair with them, but also a button saying, "Olympic Project for Civil Rights," given to him by Smith and Carlos. John Filo's iconic image of 14-year-old Mary Ann Vecchio screaming over the body of Jeffrey Miller, one of 4 people shot dead by the Ohio National Guard during protests against the Vietnam War at Kent State University, gave Americans a sense of the horror and tragedy clearly felt by witnesses, photographed here by Howard Ruffner. Filo and Ruffner, like Miller, were students at Kent State. Vecchio was visiting the campus. In the spring of 1989, student-led protests spread across China, demanding greater political freedoms and higher living standards from the country's communist government. The protesters' prolonged presence in Tiananmen Square, at the heart of Beijing, and their pro-democratic activities prompted a military response in early June. As tanks rolled into the square, a lone figure carrying shopping bags stepped in front of the tanks and stood still. The tanks attempted to maneuver around him, but the man continuously repositioned himself to block their path until 2 people, presumably police officers, removed him from the scene. Until 2017, nobody had ever seen a black hole. Albert Einstein predicted a black hole to be a collapsed star so extremely dense and with a gravitational field so strong that even light could not escape. In 2017, an international collaboration of Earth-based telescopes focused its collective attention on the center of M87, a galaxy about 54 million light-years from Earth, but large and bright enough that it can be seen through a small telescope on the ground. Putting all their data together formed an image released to the public in 2019 showing a ring of light emitted by matter moving around in an intense gravitational field with a dark central area. Ansel Adams took this photo in Wyoming's Grand Teton National Park, and he quickly became a symbol of conservation of the wilderness and offered a major turning point in environmentalism. This particular image was chosen in 1977 as one of the 115 images to travel on the Voyager spacecraft, which was to be sent to space with the hope of conveying images of the planet and human life to possible alien races. During his career, Adams was an advocate of environmental awareness and was vocal about the ravaging effect of so-called progress was having on the environment, at a time when such thinking was not yet prevalent. Henry Fox Talbot's later photographic work concentrated on photomechanical reproduction methods. By making the mass reproduction of photographic images more practical and much less expensive, Talbot rendered photographs into ink on paper, known to be permanent for hundreds, if not thousands of years. This process avoided the fading problems that became apparent in early silver image paper prints. Talbot created the photoglyptic engraving process, later perfected by others as the photogravure process. Edward Muybridge was an English-American photographer important for his pioneering work in photographic studies of motion and early work in motion picture projection. At age 20, he emigrated to America as a bookseller, first to New York and then to San Francisco. Planning a return trip to Europe in 1860, he suffered serious head injuries in a stagecoach crash in Texas. While recuperating in Kingston upon Thames, he took up professional photography, securing 2 British patents for his inventions. In 1868, he exhibited large photographs of Yosemite Valley, which made him world famous. This image shows family members embracing each other in the aftermath of a devastating tornado in Alabama in March 2012. Amid the destruction, 2 people hugging amidst the debris symbolize both the impact of the disaster and the relief of knowing their loved ones are safe. The human drama experienced in such catastrophes highlights the importance of solidarity and hope. This photo shows Elizabeth Eckford walking to school through a crowd on the first day of desegregation at Little Rock Central High School in 1957. In the background, the moment when Hazel Bryan is seen shouting hatefully became iconic. Eckford was a member of the Little Rock Nine, a group that took a significant step toward racial equality in the American education system. This image powerfully reflects the difficult struggle for racial integration and the intense social tensions of that era. This photograph shows Annette Kellerman promoting women's right to wear fitted bathing suits in 1907. Her bold stance gained attention, but she was later arrested for indecency. The image has become an iconic symbol of women's fight for bodily freedom and clothing rights during that era. Akane Ito sits and cries amid the destruction in Notori, Japan. The town was devastated by a massive tsunami in 2011. Tearing homes and lives apart, leaving behind only rubble and grief. The image captures the overwhelming loss and despair faced by survivors in the aftermath of the disaster. This haunting image of French women who were publicly humiliated and had their heads shaved for allegedly collaborating with the Nazis. Known as ugly carnivals, these events occurred across France in 1944 during the Liberation. The photograph immortalizes the brutal treatment inflicted upon those accused of treason. Robert Capa captured this iconic moment of a soldier emerging from the chaotic waters on D-Day. The image reflects the intensity and danger faced by the troops as they stormed the beaches of Normandy, marking a pivotal point in World War II. This photograph captures a powerful symbol of love transcending religious divisions. In a Dutch cemetery, the 19th century graves of a Catholic woman and her Protestant husband are separated by a wall, as was customary at the time to keep different religious denominations apart. However, the couple's graves are connected by two sculpted hands, reaching out to each other, defying the rules of the cemetery, and expressing their eternal bond. Despite the physical barrier of the wall, their love, symbolized by the touching hands, remains unbroken even in death. This haunting image of Tereska, a young girl who grew up in a concentration camp, speaks volumes about the psychological impact of war. In December 1948, Tereska was asked to draw her home in Poland on the blackboard. What emerged from her chalk was not a recognizable house, but chaotic, spiraling lines, perhaps reflecting the trauma and disorientation she endured in the concentration camp. Her expression, alongside the abstract drawing, illustrates the deep emotional scars left by her childhood in such an environment.